Hey there, it's DDJ from 5 Star Takes, and when I come up to Milwaukee to see the Brewers play, there's one place that I always make it a point to stop at. Waukesha Sports Cards. Come on, let's go inside and check out what they got. Thank you. Thank you. Be sure to stop by one of their 3 locations or go to www.waukeshasportscards.com.
Hey, this is Mr. Technical Barry Horowitz, and you're watching 5 Star Takes. Give yourself a big pat on the back and watch a great, awesome podcast, if you will. And I will, and so will you.
Hey, welcome to 5 Star Takes. I'm DDJ. That's Shane. The questions are made up and the points don't matter.
1,000 points to you, Dennis.
Yeah. So you're kind of probably wondering why did we start off like that? A little bit of a peek behind the curtain. We were just reminiscing about the awesomeness that was Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, we'll get into this a little bit later, but I didn't realize that Dynamite was aired on Tuesday, so I was flipping between NXT and Whose Line, and I said that I wasn't super bummed that I missed Dynamite, but you know.
Well, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. You really didn't miss too much by missing Dynamite for a go home for what looks to actually be like a decent pay-per-view on Saturday. It really wasn't much, and in fact, and I know part of this was, and again we'll talk about this a little bit later, but part of it was in fact I believe from what I heard, the lowest rated Dynamite in history, but part of that has to be because it wasn't on its normal night.
Yeah, no, I mean but there's not much on Tuesday nights though, right? Dennis, I gotta let you know, you are slowly creeping off the right end of the screen.
Oh yeah, sorry, I gotta adjust some here. Let me just.
Okay, I didn't know if that was on purpose or.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of moving stuff around in my bar area here, where I have something like that. I'm moving some stuff around in my bar area. I'm trying to get my basement in some semblance of make it actually look like a basement / man cave, and stuff's getting kind of moved around here and there. So
all good, man. People might be wondering where Isaac is. A bitch is motherfucking old. He had to go to bed.
You know, the funny thing is he's old, but he's not the oldest one in this group. That title belongs to yours truly, and I'm going strong. But look, you know what though? I say that now. Man, as soon as we're done recording, and then I got to hop over and help the boys out with shooting, over at Shootin Sh, and, help them out and stuff. But probably once they get that done, these shows get put together, then my happy ass is probably going to bed too.
No, totally understandable. I mean, he just wakes up so early. He gets up at 4 a.m. It's insane.
I get up at 4 a.m. too, but it's usually just to use the bathroom, and then I go right back to sleep.
Yeah, what time do you get up, Dennis? And then we'll hit the intro.
Usually it's on average. It's usually between 6 and 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay, so that would be. I mean, it doesn't really matter what time.
Between 7 and 7:30 your time.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter though. If I wake up at 6 a.m. and you wake up at 6 a.m., it functions the same time zone or not.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Pretty early, man. Do you wake up that early on weekends or?
Depends on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Lately, my body's allowed me to enjoy not having to get up to go to work. So I try to sleep in when I can. And even sometimes instinctively I'll get up between 6 and 6:30. Then I'll be like, wait a minute. Matthew's at grandma's house, so I don't have to get him ready. He doesn't have school, so I don't have to get him breakfast and get him ready for school. I don't have to go to work. I'm going back to bed. And then I usually wind up around like 8:30, and that's like, okay, I got to get up.
Man, another 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's I take it when I can get it.
What's the latest you've woken up recently?
I would say probably about 8:30.
Really, there's not been like a 10 a.m. where you've
no.
You've just totally stacked it. You're down for the count.
Yeah, usually with like 10:30 in the morning. If I'm sleeping that late, it's mainly either I got to sleep. I didn't get to sleep till super, super late at night or early in the morning, however you want to look at it. Or I am sick as you know what. And yeah, because normally, like I said, and also too, I hate sleeping too late because then I feel like I've already wasted part of the day.
Yeah, man, I feel great waking up about 9 a.m. That's like my sweet spot for waking up. It's early enough that I don't feel like a bum, but it's late enough that even if I stay up till 1 or 2, you know what I mean? It's still a good amount of sleep.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes like if I've got something going on that day that I'm really excited about, my body will force me to wake up early because then it's like, oh yeah, I got this going on. Like I'm going to the Brewers game, or I can't say that now because they got eliminated last week. Or if like I'm going to an autograph signing or a show or just something like I've got going on to look forward to. It's like my body will force me to get up because it's like, okay, it's game day, it's show day, whatever, and stuff. So,
well, I'll tell you what would get you really tired and make you sleep in until 10 a.m. It's a rocking song, just like the one we have for our intro.
That's a pretty damn good segue, man. Well done.
Boy, am I tired after rocking to that intro. Good night. This is 5-star. Oh, wait.
Hold on. Wait. Did you say good night?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, we're not going down that. We're not we got a few things to talk about before we play that. So kind of we were talking about before we went to the thing, man. Whose line is it anyway, man? That's a great show.
Just incredible. I mean, it's one of the few shows. I mean, and I really think honestly, like media entities, right? Like you don't see it a whole lot in movies and things either, where a show gets cut. You know what I mean? And they bring it back, but it's got like a new host. You know what I mean? It's got like a new star. It's got a new look. It's on a new network. You know what I mean? But the new iteration managed to retain the spirit. And it's funny, but God, that original run with Drew Carey is
now. You mentioned Drew Carey. Have you ever seen the original British version that the American version was based on?
It's one of the few things that I think the American version is better. That and The Office.
Okay. I mean, I used to like, and I remember just on like just complete accent, just going through the channels one day, and I think it was on Comedy Central. Something was like 9-10 in the morning, something like that. I must have been either during the summer while I was still in school, or just I had an off day or work and I was still living at home or whatever. But I remember watching it, and it was like all these, like, primarily British or European comics and stuff, and obviously the humor and stuff over there is a little bit is different than what we're used to here in the States and stuff, but it was still funny, and I was like, okay, this is cool. They just think of all and it's just amazing how all these in between the British version and the different American versions that we've had, and stuff. It's just amazing how all these people can think of come up with all of this stuff on the fly. I mean, and you look at people like some of the stalwarts who I believe were on the you've seen all the time. You're looking at like Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles, who Ryan Stiles was on the Drew Carey show. He was also two-part, in 2.5 Men and stuff. And it's just, I actually got to go and I took my wife for God, I don't know if it was necessarily a Christmas. No, I think it was like an anniversary or just a date night or something. We went, they did like a touring okay. Sorry. I don't know if you could still hear me or not, but
we're back.
Okay. Yeah, I was waving my hand around and I accidentally touched the top of my mic, and it mutes it if you touch it and stuff. So I just muted myself inadvertently. But like I took her to one of like the live shows that they do, and I think it was called Who's Live Anyway. And it was basically it was Jeff Davis, one of the Murray brothers. It definitely wasn't Bill or Brian Doyle. I can't think of it. It's because I know there's the Murray brothers. I know obviously there's Bill Murray, Brian Doyle Murray, and then there were two other Murray brothers. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, and I mean no disrespect, because the one Murray brother, was it Jeff Murray maybe?
Yeah, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, he was hilarious, and then I got to see Ryan Stiles was there too, who I'm a huge fan of his. Like I said, just dating from when he was on the Drew Carey show and stuff. But it's just even more in person. It's just like, it's so amazing how they can just come up with this stuff like on the fly, and it takes a real talent to do that.
No, I mean 100%. I mean, you want to talk about talent, and that's not to take away from Colin, Ryan, Jeff, any of the cast at any point in time. But you want to talk about talent? I mean, bro, they still, even through the new, the new iteration, Wayne Brady is incredible. You want to talk about somebody who is literally the best court jester in the world, and I mean that in the most respectful way.
Right.
He can sing, he can dance. I mean, it always cracks me up because they have like the musical segments. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
And whenever Wayne is on, it's always Wayne and somebody else. Always for when they're singing. But he even has hosting capabilities and is excellent in that role. Him with Let's Make a Deal.
My wife loves when she doesn't have to work. Like if she has the school's not in session, she doesn't have to drive. She will sometimes have that on, like, because we get it. I think we get Let's Make a Deal. I think it's on at like 11 o'clock or something in the morning.
I was gonna say I think it's
right after The Price is Right with Drew Carey.
Yeah, I think Let's Make a Deal is 12 for us, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
Price is Right at 11. Yeah.
And I mean, Let's Make a Deal. I mean, it's a very fun, entertaining show with Wayne Brady. I mean, but he's no Monty Hall. I'll just say that.
I mean, you can say that, and you're correct, right? Because I don't have that intimate connection with the original Let's make a deal at all. But like nobody can be a legend, you know, like nobody can step into that role. But how great the person does with that role is really what matters. You know what I mean? I think it's so unfair to compare people like that, because I mean,
and it's also a different era too. You know, times are changed and stuff. You know, but I mean, I'm more when it comes to like, you know, these, especially with these game shows you mentioned, who, you know, we're talking Whose Line Is It Anyway, but we've, you know, talking about Let's Make a Deal, Price is Right, all these new ones that they're, you know, these updates of these classic games that, I mean, that you see like on ABC, you know, Press Your Luck, Pyramid. I just actually happened to I was watching TV.
It's like a Scrabble show now.
I was just actually going to bring that up. They brought back Scrabble, they used to be hosted by Chuck Woolery back in the 80s.
Yeah,
now it's by Raven Simone, you know, from That's So Raven, the Cosby
Show. Brain Blast.
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. I want to check it out because I like the original Scrabble and stuff too.
So here's a show that I loved back in the day, and then we have to talk about wrestling.
We're not. I love the guys over at Shootin Sh, but we're the ones that are usually supposed to stay on topic throughout the whole and stuff. So
we haven't talked about wrestling a single time. It's been 15 minutes.
That's gotta be a record.
It's horrible. I mean, as much as we got on Isaac, I mean, me specifically, I mean, this is a terrible, terrible showing. It was called Scaredy Camp.
He would be so proud.
Oh no, because it would be worse. There would be something about corn and he's eating, and anyways, do you have you ever heard of Scaredy Camp? I think it was on like Nick at Night, maybe something like that, and like I don't know, maybe 2006.
That's not something that
doesn't
ring out. It doesn't ring out.
It was a show where it was like boys versus girls, I think, and it was like elementary school students, maybe I think middle schoolers actually, because they were like 11 and 12 and 13. And then they like the premise of the show was it's like a summer camp, and then there's like team activities like Survivor style, but like they live in like a haunted camp where like this ghost is like haunting it, and they have to do things where they're like going through like this thing blindfolded, and they have to try to find clues, and whichever team reveals the, you know, like what happened and why the ghost is haunting that place wins. And it was like spooky. It was like, I don't know, man, and maybe I'm just remembering this with a lot of nostalgia, but it was so much fun to watch. like I don't know.
It's, you know, and it's not anything that rings a bell, but God, I could go off in a whole completely different tangent with, you know, stuff that I used to watch back in the day when I was a kid, and talking about these old game shows that they're reviving from the 80s and stuff. That's like, I could spend hours upon talking about that, but we said we're getting into 17 minutes, and I think it's about time we start talking some wrestling.
Oh, wrestling. Yeah. No.
You know,
not Scaredy Camp or Double Dare 2000.
Yeah, well, Double Dare 2000, you know, it was what it was, you know, an attempt, and I'll just leave it at that.
We can keep talking about game shows if you want to see me get heated.
Oh boy, well, maybe we'll do a special episode somewhere down the line or something.
Wow, heated, like a heated feud, Bad Blood, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre.
Man, you're killing it with the segues today. Start calling you Segue Shane. That was the best Hell in a Cell match I've seen in, what are we, 2024? Probably, I'm going to say probably in about 20 years.
So I'm going to preface everything I say about this show by saying that I watched half of it on my phone.
Excuse me.
With the volume not very high. I was at my family's house watching the Ohio State game at the end of it. So
I was actually, when CM Punk and Drew McIntyre was on, I was actually with my wife at a trampoline park with so my son wanted to go to a trampoline park, so we sat at a table while my son went and played, and I had it on my phone. So yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
Yeah. So and then the second half after I got home, I had the UFC fights on. So it's kind of looking back and forth. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, and I'm not going to be super harsh on any of it for that reason. You know, I don't know why, but for me, this entire Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk feud has been really the best feud WWE has done. Probably, I don't know, in the last year.
I would probably take that a step further and say that's probably, in terms of just strictly a feud. I'm not talking, we're not talking storyline here. You're just talking a straight up feud. I would probably say that this Punk McIntyre thing, I would say probably, I talked about how their Hell in a Cell match is probably the best Hell in a Cell match that I've seen in about, in almost 20 years. I would probably say I really haven't seen I can't think of any feuds. Maybe I want to say like the last like really good feud that I remember seeing with the intensity that, that Punk and McIntyre had, I'd probably have to say like maybe Cena versus Orton in like the late 2000s. Like
yeah, no, 100%. I think that the Bloodline has had I don't want to say better storyline because I think it just depends on what you want. But it's had a grander storyline. You know what I mean? It's been more film-esque where Drew versus Punk has really just been an old school classic, blood feud. There's not been a whole lot of frills, there's not been a whole lot of anything else. It's just been me versus you, and that's what it's gonna be. So,
and honestly, to me, this feud felt like a throwback to what feuds used to be.
Yeah, no, it's definitely old school. And honestly, I'm going to tie that into what I was going to say, which is this feud has been great television. It's been great. It's been a great story. The promos have been great. I don't think that the matches themselves have necessarily lived up to the feud. And again, maybe I missed something, and I'm not saying it was a bad Hell in a Cell match at all. And I've seen a whole lot of people saying, that it was the best Cell match they've seen in quite some time. So, I'm in the minority here, and I understand that.
Okay.
I was missing one. I was missing a huge bump from somebody.
But see, and I get that, and it just seems like to me that those have become so commonplace. It's like it's expected, which kind of takes away the specialness of them, like when they actually happen, because people see, expect them, and it's just and that's kind of why I think I really like this, is because this match did what it needed to do. It was presented in a way that that we haven't really seen a Hell in a Cell match presented since basically, the mid 2000s, when you had like, Triple H,
Shawn Michaels versus Triple H.
Batista.
I was there live.
Oh, nice.
I saw it.
Batista versus Triple H.
No. And and you're 100% correct in that. And again, I'm not saying it was bad. It was excellent, but it wasn't to me like the 5-star match that this feud. I don't want to say deserved, because again, I don't blame those guys. You know what I mean? They've been working their asses off. I just think it's a personal preference thing with how the matches went. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Punk had that crazy lawn dart into the cell. It looked awesome. Drew almost killed himself taking a back bump onto the stairs. Do you think that was a botch? Do you think he planned to shit can himself like that? Because I don't necessarily think so. I think he was trying to maybe land on top of the steps, and I don't know why, totally misjudged it. Because that's a nasty bump to look at and go, I'm just gonna take that.
Yeah, it looked painful. Sorry, I'm having some I'm on the camera that's built into my laptop, but my other camera seems to be acting up, so I'm playing around with it as the camera, not that and stuff. So I'm gonna try to see if I can switch here while I'm talking. Let's see. There we go. I think I got it. Yep. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
All good.
But no, I remember watching that, and I was watching that, and when just the sound that it made of Drew's body just going against the steps, and it just that looked like that hurt.
I mean, it's just I mean that's like a Darby Allin bump. I mean that's that level of
I think that's tame compared to some Darby Allin bump.
I mean, some of Darby Allin's bumps, but it's still that level of like, I'm throwing caution to the wind. You know what I mean? Like nobody in the world is taking a bump like Drew did there, where you're just throwing the small of your back up against the sharp end of the
right,
the steps. I mean, nobody's doing that. That's tough.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to both those guys. I mean, shout out to Drew McIntyre. I mean, he was a warrior in that match. I believe they said something like, what do you get? Like at
16?
least something like that. Staples from that, that toolbox that, that Punk threw at him. And, and this kind of makes me, I just want to take a minute to just kind of, Ryback just needs to shut the fuck up and realize that nobody wants him. He's, trying to keep himself relevant via Twitter. And for him to go, all
right,
and sit there and say, Punk's a reckless worker, and all that. Basically, kind of using that one moment just to try to get him. Like, dude just needs to fucking chill out and realize that nobody wants him. He's a horrible wrestler. He's a horrible person. He needs to just wake up and realize that his 15 minutes of fame are over.
All right. First of all, that is not a 5-star takes endorsed take. I love I'm just kidding. No, right.
I was about to say that auditions for Shane's replacement will start next week.
I don't know. I don't take anything Ryback says seriously. I think that
I don't either, but it's just
he's just a professional hater. But again, he's somebody that I think he's somebody that understands that like he can make more money off of being a douchebag than what he could destroying his body wrestling. Let's be honest here. If Ryback wanted to do the indie thing, I'm sure that there are a ton of indies, especially down south. You know what I mean? Where wrestling is a little bit more real still, and it's a little bit more of the
still real to them. Damn it.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more collar and elbow tie up situation than triple backflip on the in front of 20 people. But yeah, I mean, I just think he understands that like he's trying to build himself as a brand, and anything that keeps him relevant is positive.
Maybe in his mind, I just still thought he needs to just shut the fuck up.
I mean, again, he's inconsequential.
Okay, yeah, but I still thought it was a great match. You know, I was actually kind of hoping, and I think when I posted our predictions and stuff, just because with everything going on the last couple weeks with you know it's just trying to nail down a time with Justin Race to do this interview, which it's still going to happen. People, we're still doing this interview. I still talk with him. We're still in communication. He's actually give a little bit of shout out to Justin and his mother. They're actually, if they're not there already, they're going to be in New Jersey this weekend. Harley's getting inducted or something into, I think it's the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame that they have in New Jersey and stuff. And that's, you know, that's where he's headed right now with his mom and stuff. And there's going to be some stuff and a little bit of a sneak peek when we do have that interview. Justin said, he told me, and I think I shared this with you guys in our show chat, that he's going to have some really cool like Hall of Fame stuff to show us when we finally get him on for this interview.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And yeah, it's coming. It's
right.
Been a process, you know, both ways, and that's okay. The end product is going to be worth it.
Absolutely. And you know, kind of going back to you know, Bad Blood and stuff. I mean, it would I really enjoyed the Hell in a Cell match. I also enjoyed the tag match with Cody and Roman versus Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. I mean, outside of those two matches, I think there was 5 matches total. They bookended it perfectly. I mean, they had Hell in a Cell to kick us off, which, knowing now what happened at the end, I can see why they put the Hell in a Cell match on first, because you can't start the show with how that show ended.
So I just disagree with you. You know, again, it's not to say that The Rock coming back doesn't, you know, make a huge splash, but CM Punk versus Drew deserved to headline that show.
I don't disagree. I 100% agree with you there. Like if The Rock doesn't show up, or he's not in Atlanta that night, that Hell in a Cell is main eventing that show. That is the only reason why he didn't. And
The Rock can still show up after the opening match. That can happen.
I just don't. But then I think then everybody's talking about it, and I think it would have distracted the audience from the rest of that show, because that's all everybody would be talking about. I think the way the show was laid out, considering everything, was the right call. But I agree with you, like that Hell in a Cell match should have main evented the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I mean, honestly, and this is one of the only nice things you'll ever hear me say about CM Punk, but I think that shit was absolutely kind of disrespectful, you know, to the work those two have put in, you know, in a feud that has really, you know, carried Monday Night Raw. I mean, you think about how many opening segments they've, you know, allowed those two to have. Think about how many
closing segments, main event segments,
closing segments, main events. I mean, just overall story time.
Like things that overlap the show. Like, remember the one time, I can't remember when this was, but at some point during the feud, they did it where, like, Punk was in the ring, Drew was in the skybox. Punk went looking for Drew. Punk went to the skybox where Drew was, and Drew went down to the ring, and then Punk was up in the skybox. Drew was in the ring. That was great. And I think the one kind of cool thing about this feud, and if you know, and I would think you would agree with me, like, it almost seemed like it kind of happened by accident. Like, I remember, and it was just originally, it wasn't intended, and I think it had to do a lot with Rollins' knee injury from last year going into WrestleMania, because that was what allowed, I think Drew to get involved in stuff.
Yeah, I mean, again, regardless, again, that match, especially with the stipulation of Hell in a Cell, right? I think that I would agree with you if it would have been a street fight, right? Or a whatever, a one-on-one match, a steel cage match, a Inferno match, a pitch black match, whatever. But Hell in a Cell, especially with apparently how they're doing it, is not a 2 or 3 matches on one card thing. It's like one match a year. And
it could be.
And I disagree to a point. I think that they could do like one Hell in a Cell match a half a year.
Okay,
and
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, again, do 1 men, 1 women a year. You have a few that you can build towards, probably, hopefully, to fill that out, or even a tag team match if you want to get goofy with it.
I guess my whole thing would be do a Hell in a Cell match for the right reasons, not just don't do it just to do it.
Yeah, 100%, right? And then this Hell in a Cell match was perfect because it had the right reasons. And it should,
sorry, go ahead.
And it's fine. And it should have main evented. Even with The Rock. I think that even if The Rock distracted the crowd a little bit, I feel like they would have recovered. And they would have been distracted versus Nia Jax versus Bayley, which was the worst match on the card.
Yeah.
Not shockingly.
Well, I think also too we're talking about, that we also got to throw. I mean, Rhea versus Liv. I mean, really, again, outside of that first match and then last match, those other 3 matches, there really wasn't much to talk about. I think the most noteworthy thing out of the 3 non-main event matches, the ones that were kind of sandwiched in the middle of the card, was the screw up during the Liv Rhea match when Raquel Gonzalez or what came out and basically took care of Rhea, and the referee wasn't supposed to see it or something because like it was originally, then she was going to throw Liv on top of Rhea for Rhea to get the pin. So I think I did. I think we all picked Rhea or to lose. Like we all picked Liv to win. We all kind of got screwed on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, but that just doesn't matter. I mean, since we all picked the same, I mean, it was going to be,
Speaking of which, he's not here, but we got to give a shout out to Isaac for winning the night that night. He went 4-1. I think I went 3-2, and you went 2-3. So I got the updated leaderboard here. So right now I've slightly increased my lead to 2 over you, and Isaac's almost over 500.
Yeah, he's getting close, man.
He just needs.
We gotta get predictions for Wrestle Dream. You better get those into him tomorrow, FYI, before he goes out of town. And
I'll send him a message and we'll do that. Like I said, we didn't do predictions on Bad Blood on the show just because of we didn't do a show last week and stuff, and we're just we'll do the same. We'll post them on the Shootin' Shit Facebook page, our predictions here. I'll try to get them up by sometime before obviously before the show starts on Saturday night and stuff, because the Wrestle Dream's shaping up to be a good card, but kind of getting back into Bad Blood before we move on to the Tuesday Night Wars here. I there really wasn't much to write home about the show, and the one thing though, and we haven't talked about this yet, and I just thought about this, and I can't believe it's taken me this long into our Bad Blood talk about this. One of the coolest things that happened during the event technically didn't happen during the event, and I didn't know about it till like the next day when I go on Twitter and I see fan footage of what happened between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens after the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's really brilliant stuff from WWE.
It really is. You don't. I can't ever remember seeing a turn like done this way. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, I mean, and they didn't have to. Like, I don't know. Yeah, they did it in just such an unconventional way that it feels realer. You know what I mean? Like the cameras didn't need to be on for Kevin Owens to whoop Cody Rhodes' ass. He did it. After the pay-per-view when the cameras are off. You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't want it. He didn't want anybody to see this. He did this personally and on his own time and. Yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean, and it did honestly for the pay-per-view what you said The Rock would have done if they would have done that opening the show, is it really did take a lot of shine away from that, because that's, to be honest, what people are talking about more than The Rock. You see the outside of wrestling people talking more about The Rock, but everybody's talking about Kevin Owens whooping Cody's ass outside the bus.
And and the thing is, and I can't wait to watch SmackDown to see what Kevin Owens has to say. But when you think about it, he really, and I'm a huge Cody Rhodes is my guy in the WWE. I've been a Cody Rhodes fan for so long, but I mean, I honestly, I kind of get where Kevin Owens is coming from with this, because I mean, Cody's teaming with the guy that's given Kevin Owens problems for the last 3-4 years, and like, I get it, he's like, hey man, what the fuck,
Yeah, I mean, it's God, what is it? Oh, what does it remind me of? There's like, I mean, is it? Was Jay talking about that? Who's talking about that on Raw recently?
It might have been Jay.
Yeah. I feel like somebody was talking there, like, and
well, and you mentioned Jay, and I just thought about this because this actually kind of goes back to the with Drew as well too. Remember Drew McIntyre's heel turn?
Thank you. That's literally what I was thinking of, Dennis.
It's the same thing.
Yep.
Like like Drew turned heel because Jey Uso, who was part of the bloodline, made Drew's life a living hell, and all of a sudden everybody's cheering him. Drew's like, what the fuck? Same thing just happened now with Cody and Kevin Owens, and I honestly just, that when you mentioned Jay, that just sparked that thought in my head. Like, I didn't even think about that just until right now as we're discussing it.
Yeah, well, thank you for helping me get there. I called the shot and you followed through.
You set him up and I hit him. I hit him out.
But yeah, I mean the middle three matches for Bad Blood were, Nia versus Bayley was a decent match, and that's about the most you can expect from Nia in a good night. I hate to say it, she's just, she's a throwback, and not in a good way, and that her size and the way she is booked is her entire selling point, and it's not the work. I mean, she's gotten better. I think she hasn't hurt anybody recently.
No, she has improved, and stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's there, and I mean, hey, you know what? You're putting in the work and you're doing the time and getting yourself better. More power to you.
Yeah, I mean, but she's still just not very good. Not good enough to be champ. As far as work wise, I don't want to say talent because she's more talented than I will ever be. Damian versus Finn was Damian versus Finn on a pay-per-view with little to no stakes. It was a good match.
I really think they could have put that on them. That with between that and then the Sammy Gunther match that was on Raw that Monday, I felt like you could have switched those two, put Sammy and Gunther, on Bad Blood, and have that match. And then I think Damian versus Finn, I felt like that felt more like a Monday Night Raw match.
I would agree. I would agree with you at any other point in time, but I think that they wanted to make sure that people felt good leaving. The first 2 hour Raw in a while. A lot of people were pissed that an hour is getting taken away from them. So I feel like they wanted to sweeten the pot with a really.
Oh, and I agree why they did, and I'm with you on that. But speaking of which, we can move on to Raw being the first 2 hours and kind of start winding down here. I really felt like this Raw was kind of like just because it's the 2 hour Raw, the first 2 hour Raw, and like something like I think it was like 12 years or something like that. And I just felt like that this is they've got some work to be done to kind of get Raw to where it feels like a 2 hour show, whereas this just felt like a 3 hour show they're trying to cram in the 2 hours.
Yeah, no. They're gonna have to work on maximizing airtime now. Triple H had a luxury with 3 hours to book, and if two of your 3 hours are good, and then there's just a mix of an hour in the show that's not as good, especially if it's not in one block, people forget about it. You know what I mean? A 15-minute segment that's not super great, but the rest of it is good. Nobody's going to remember.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, having that, losing that hour, it's going to be tough. But I mean, I also feel like there were like 2 20-minute matches. I just don't feel like you're going to see that on Raw anymore.
No, and that's and I mean, you might get one, and that might be reserved for like your main event or whatever. And I mean, in this, for all we know, this could be a temporary thing until they go to Netflix, because with Netflix, they haven't really come out and said anything, at least I don't think, about how long the show is going to be. But I mean, theoretically, they're not really like under any like time constraints, I would think, on Netflix. I mean, I don't think they're going to go. I mean, they're not going to go back. They're not going to do like a 4 hour Raw or anything like that. But I truly feel like I think Raw is going to go back to being 3 hours or somewhere around that, maybe 2.5 or something.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I feel like the best thing that they could do would be to book for like a 2.5 hour show, but then plan on filming for a whole 3 hours. It doesn't have to go the whole 3 hours. You know what I mean? But that would allow a match that's really cooking an extra couple minutes. You know what I mean? Somebody from the production truck, hey, extra 3 minutes. Tell them,
Right. So, but I mean, it was shout out to Sammy versus Gunther in a great match. I mean, I think a lot of us had a good idea that Gunther was going to win. I mean, and stuff, but still, man, Sammy did such an amazing job of getting that crowd to think, "Oh my God, Sammy's going to do it again."
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing how Gunther went from a crusher destroyer to this guy who is really able to make every match he's in that kick out, he doesn't wrestle that much anymore. So every time he does, there's kickouts and those close near falls, and every match he wrestles really does feel like a pay-per-view match.
And I'm so glad to see, because I just, like I said, kind of going back to Bad Blood a little bit here. I just hope to God we don't get Gunther versus Goldberg, because I don't want Goldberg in a ring anymore.
It won't. I
hope not. I hope not.
I don't think there's a chance, man. I feel like the Goldberg is my favorite wrestler comment to Brett made more waves than maybe they were thinking, and they were already planning on having Goldberg sit in the front row to wave and get a pop, and then somebody thought about it and was like, hey, why not?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, so like I said, I really feel like it's gonna, I think it's gonna, for Raw here, and then we'll move on to the Tuesday Night Wars here. But I really feel like, I think these next couple of weeks, I don't think Raw's still gonna have some issues. Like I'm thinking maybe another give it like maybe 2 more episodes, and then I think we'll kind of start once they start settling into that 2-hour routine. Then I think we'll start seeing, something that looks like it was designed for 2 hours.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the first thing that I would do to make it an easier to book 2 hours is take Pure Fusion Collective off of the show.
Yeah, I bet I
don't know if I have I have ever seen a group that is so boring. and I'm a big Shayna fan. I love Shayna.
I love Shayna Baszler as well too.
But God, every time they come out and they're just beating on Lyra Valkyria, Natalia, and the Party Girls.
Well, see, my whole issue is the fact that they talk about we're dominating this women's division, or we're gonna be the most dominant faction, out there week in and week out, and then they go out and lose. Like they're not even they like, it's just if they were booked like how they talked, we'll just say this. We'd probably say Sonya Deville would be women's world champion, and Shayna and Zoe would be the women's tag team champions if they were booked like how they talk. But I mean, I'm with you on that. I'm a huge Shayna Baszler fan, but yeah, they could disband Pure Fusion Collective this coming Monday and on Raw, and I wouldn't lose a wink of sleep over it.
I love seeing Pure Fusion Collective right now because the NFL is on. So I just use it as like a 15-minute NFL window. I hear Pure Fusion Collective music and I go, click.
Oh, time to turn on ESPN.
Yeah, Lions and Cowboys. That sounds great.
Shout out to the hot one, Giovanni Tuhati, who's a diehard Cowboys fan.
Yeah, them boys. Well, speaking of clicking the channel, Tuesday Night Wars.
Segue.
The brain's running on high octane tonight, Dennis.
Keep it up, man. You are killing it with them segues. But yeah, it was a little bit of a throwback to the old Wednesday Night Wars from 2019 when AEW was the new kid on the block and everything. And my, oh my, how in 5 years the tables have turned. Like NXT, second week on the CW, coming off an amazing debut show on the CW network. They followed it up with another banger. And I mean, obviously there was a lot of WWE influence on there, as they try to get people like, hey, we're on the CW now. The numbers I've heard have been really great for NXT on CW and stuff. And the talent there is killing it. Like I've been saying this for the last couple of years, and it's even getting better. But to me, NXT has been consistently for, I want to say the last 2 years at least, has been my favorite wrestling show to watch week in and week out.
I mean, first of all, the venue for NXT was awesome.
Yes, I love that setup.
It was awesome. It was like a mix between like a studio and an auditorium. It felt big, but still intimate. Like it
felt, it felt like I had a performance center vibe watching that. Like
yeah. I mean, again, it was just small enough that everybody felt like, it felt like people were there. In those big arenas, it's like, look at those people up there.
It felt like an indie show. It looked like an indie show.
Bro, the show opened. Jey Uso came out. People were going crazy. People were losing their minds. It is insane how over Jey Uso is. If you would have asked Dennis, if I would have asked you 5 years ago, if you would have been able to regularly differentiate Jimmy and Jey Uso by their personal accomplishments in wrestling, would you have agreed with me?
Run that by me one more time. Make sure I understand it correctly, just so I can answer it correctly.
5 years ago, if I were to ask you in 5 years, if you would be able to easily differentiate Jimmy and Jey Uso, not only by looks, but by personal accomplishment in wrestling, not with each other, would you believe that that could be the case?
No.
No. I mean, again, Jimmy and Jey Uso, the Usos, were one of the greatest tag teams in the WWE
Shout out to Jimmy
of all
Uso
time.
for also returning during Bad Blood as well too, and he looked great.
100%. You know, but like by the time 2018 rolled around and they were doing the Uso Penitentiary stuff, like they were one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history at that point.
Yes, they were.
And I still couldn't have told you which one was Jimmy or Jay.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you know, I might have been able to look and figure it out, but not off the top of my head.
You wouldn't be able to go to, like, you would have to take, it would take some time. You wouldn't be able to, like,
yeah,
you could go right now and look at them both and be like, okay, that's Jay, that's Jimmy. Like now,
no, 100%. And Jay is over the moon.
Mm-hmm.
He is huge. He's so over. It's just insane. And I don't know why has this always been with him? Did, you know, is it like you know, like a wand in Harry Potter where we're like yeet, you know, bonded to him and then they created this wonderful fusion, you know what I mean? That just
not that kind, not Pure Fusion Collective.
No. I said wonderful fusion, not pure fusion. That's not wonderful. But it's just crazy. But sorry, back to NXT. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, it opened, you know, with Jay and Trick, you know, having a fun little segment,
you know, and then Kalani and the Jade and the Bianca, like,
yeah,
you know, having all the champions there of, you know, that are black, and just kind of, I think that was done on purpose because of all the talk that's going around lately by, you know, this, you know, the IWC, which one of the worst parts about being a wrestling fan is having to be associated with some of them idiots. You know,
then you just don't associate with them, buddy.
No, but it's just still just, you know, to be kind of be like we like the same thing, and just why does someone who's that stupid like the same thing that I do? But no, it was a really cool shot. But we had some great matches though. I mean, Tony D'Angelo with you know, you know, probably could be, you know, a shocker of the year or upset of the year or whatever you want.
I called it. I looked at Wade when the match started. I said, I think Obafemi's in trouble. Dude, it was just a really awesome story that they told with Tony, and, you know, not believing in himself, and then what's her name? Rizzo.
Adriana Rizzo, yeah,
you know, builds him back up, and the whole family believes in him, and then he turns down the cheating.
Yep.
And I was like, oh God, dumb baby face. Here he goes. And then he won. I was so happy, man. And I'm a big Oba fan.
And Tony D'Angelo, by the way, is a Chicago guy. Like, actually, I know one of the guys that trained Tony D'Angelo is used to be I think he still wrestles. No, I don't know if he still wrestles. I think he just recently retired, but he's a legend on the Chicago independent scene and stuff. Yeah, that was great. That was just such a great story and a great moment. And it's just the way he did it. Like, it was the way I think Obafemi's first loss should have happened. I think it was just like, you know, a roll up, a pin, a sunset flip, you know, that
I think he got him on like a high stack.
Yeah, he sunset flip, then I got him on the high stack and stuff, you know. So who knows what that means for Obafemi? Is he moving up to the NXT title picture? Is he maybe moving, you know, up and maybe going to be debuting on the main roster?
I think that that Oba has a date with 1 to 2 months on his couch. I think that they pull him from television for a little bit, give him some time to rest up, give them some time to clear the Wesley, Ethan Page, conglomerate at the top. And then I think Oba comes and
okay, I like
Oba,
that.
Oba wins, and then I think you say goodbye to Trick Willie come I don't know, probably my guess is Royal. You probably see Trick debut maybe at the Royal Rumble. Maybe he
I
loses.
can see him being in the well, wasn't he in this past year's Royal Rumble? This year's?
Yeah, no, he might have been. No, but what I'm saying is, I think he debuts on the main
like
roster.
as an official main round. Okay,
yes,
okay, I could see that. But I mean, it was just such a great, just it goes to show you just this talent that Shawn Michaels is, and his crew down there. You got Matt Bloom, Robbie Brookside, Terry Taylor, Steve Corino. I mean, all these guys that have just legendary minds for the business and just all this wisdom that they're imparting on these kids and stuff.
So I want to tell you the biggest winner of NXT that night, though.
Please don't say Sexy Red.
Pound Town just left Pound Town. Okay, sorry. No, Javon Evans, man. Javon Evans got to wrestle Randy fucking Orton, man.
And as
a 20, what Javon Evans, 20?
I just saw this. When Randy Orton debuted on the main roster back in 2002, Javon Evans hadn't even been born yet.
And Randy was young when he debuted.
Yeah, I think he was only 20 or something like that, like in his early 20s.
Yeah, Randy was like 23,
something like 22, 23. But I mean, he was 20. He was 22 because actually he and our birthdays, if I remember correctly, are roughly like about a week apart or something like that. And we're like really close, which I just recently found out. But I mean, and this was a really the one thing that I took from this is you can see how Randy Orton as a person has really changed and matured over the years, because the end of that match when Javon went to do that flip, that Randy was supposed to take the RKO on, I don't think Javon got over enough or something like that, and it came out looking bad. Then Orton just picked him up and RKO'd him.
This close.
But like you could see, like after the match, like Javon's like, I'm so sorry. Like you could tell, like he knew, he was like, oh fuck, I just blew it. Yeah. But then Orton's like, no, you were the fucking, like he's still like, I think the Randy Orton from 15 years ago would have probably
stupid.
He probably would have probably went to Sean and Hunter and said, you need to fire this kid. But like for him, they still give his endorsement. Yeah, that's gonna do nothing, but that's just gonna put Javon Evans even on a faster track. And he's actually and you mentioned the whole stuff with Wesley and Ethan Page, trying to determine who's going to challenge Trick for the championship. I believe Javon Evans got thrown into that mix as well too as a result of that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's been two really incredible in on different levels, because Randy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And he was before he came back from the back injury, and was a fun guy, just who was having fun with wrestling, and really kind of turned it around in the fans' eyes. There's another guy who was injured for a pretty long time, and came back. I mean, and really salvaged his career, I think, in the eyes of fans, in the eyes of the company. And, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but he's pretty damn close. Any guess what I'm thinking about, Dennis?
Oh God, it's starting to get late. My brain is starting to shut down. You're gonna have to help me out on this one.
Sheamus. I mean, think about how boring Sheamus was for years and years.
I don't know if I'd necessarily say he was boring, but I can see where you're coming from. I get where you're going. I understand your train of thought.
And then he got hurt forever. I'm not saying it was a good thing, but whatever happened when he was gone, he came back, and then he just realized that if he just started beating the crap out of his opponents, you know, and then he was just putting on the, you know, hard hitting matches. Now I'm like, man, Sheamus is on Raw. I am stoked. I am excited.
It really is. You know, you get a new lease on life, and sometimes that changes people and stuff. But
yeah,
I mean, overall, you know, I'm really anxious to see what the future holds for NXT and CW. They're 2 for 2. And then just kind of going in here to what was opposite the NXT and CW, and that was AEW and their go home show for Wrestle Dream this week. And again, we'll try to have our predictions up before on the Shootin Sh Facebook page before the show airs on Saturday night. But and it just, I think about when they had the Wednesday Night Wars with NXT and AEW, where the fandom seemed to lie and just everything. It just seems like, you know, AEW was here and NXT was here. Now it's like AEW's here and NXT is here. You know, it's just the tides have turned, and just, I don't know. And it's just, after watching that show on Tuesday, I mean, they're really, for a go home show, there really wasn't anything memorable about it. And again, I understand it was on a different day and stuff, but man, to have your lowest rated show in history, as you know, right before a pay-per-view, it's not a good sign. And I mean, I know they just signed that new deal and everything, and good for them and stuff, but it's just, I don't know what happened to AEW for, you know, I think maybe they tried too much to be like the WWE, and it's backfiring on them, because they're not, this AEW that we see now is nothing like what AEW was when it first started.
Yeah, I mean, but we've talked about it extensively on this show. And I don't necessarily think that we need to get back into it. But again, when AEW first started, it was a, you know, totally different thing. It was an indie show that was broadcast, you know, to the masses. And now it is, you know, I don't want to say trying to be WWE, because I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think that's ever been the case. But they're definitely trying to be more in that sports entertainment.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, in that sports entertainment realm where, you know, really everything is storyline based. You know what I mean? They've totally abandoned the power ranking system. They've, you know, that's gone by the wayside. You know, so they stepped into this realm where, you know, matches often aren't just matches. You know, they're booking to, you know, further storylines at most times. You know what I mean? And then even if there is a match that just seems like a match, there's normally a run-in or, you know, whatever else. And you know, unfortunately, when you're a startup company, and you know that's, AEW's been around a long while now. Obviously, Dynamite just recently celebrated its 5th anniversary. But AEW might as well be a startup comparative to the wealth of knowledge and experience that is WWE, and putting on, you know, storyline based, you know, wrestling rather than just matches for matches.
Exactly. And I mean, Wrestle Dream, to me, Wrestle Dream looks like it's going to be a very fun show. And I mean, AEW usually still has a knack for, you know, for their pay-per-views, putting on a great pay-per-view. And I feel like that this one's going to, you know, continue that trend, but it's just, they got to start following up with more consistent TV and stuff, because it just isn't getting, you know, I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I typically watch Dynamite when I am available, but I got to be honest, I do not pay 100% attention. Yeah, I mean, and it's just tough because I would love to watch the pay-per-views, but when I don't necessarily care about them, it's kind of tough, especially for $60.
Yeah, well, and stuff. So, but we for the fact that it was just you and I and no Isaac, man, we did a hell of a show this week.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it would have been like 53 minutes if we wouldn't have been talking about game shows, but that's okay,
and stuff like that. But again, everything here was a lot of fun. Isaac, congratulations for winning the week with bad blood predictions. I mean, even a broken clock is correct twice a day.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll go 1 for 5 on the next one. Law of averages almost always works.
It does and stuff, but guys, gals, thank you so much for going watching us. We really had fun talking this week. We hope you enjoyed the Who's Line talk and the game show talk and all that, and of course the wrestling talk. But that's been Shane. I've been DDJ. Guys, thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Oh my God, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Big luck. No whammies. And stop.
Oh, no. Hey, dummy. Yikes. Yes? Not you. The dummy who just lost all their money. Who's the dummy now, dummy?
Legends of the Ring Sting, man. This is a great figure, old school figure. Looks great. It's Sting! Old school Sting from WCW. Guys, you know us, 3/4 of the Shootin' Shit team, and we're here with a listener just like you guys. This is Jimmy from Super Powers Comics.
My friend of almost 20 years. He's known him since you were 12.
If you know people in Chicago, you probably know Dennis because he knows half the town, of course. But shooters, if you need action figures, comics, wrestling memorabilia, we just showed you Sting. Superpowers Comics will put up their QR code so you can get a good look at everything they have coming. Give it a shot, shooters. Get your superpowers on and get your comics from our friend Jimmy, who listens just like you.
Attention wrestling fans and fans of Shootin' Shit podcasts. You can now be one of the cool kids by going to ProWrestlingTees.com and buy the official Shootin' Shit t-shirt. Buy it now and be there at ringside.
This episode and all episodes of 5 Star Takes are now available on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@5Star Takes. Be sure to like and subscribe. Get all of your 5 Star Takes news and updates by going to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/SHOOTINSHT. And as always, thanks for watching.